Hi there, I'm Uncle Joel with Pen and Reel. So in 2017, WB released the show Powerless, which is set in the DC universe but is focused on characters who are not powered or not superheroes. I think the idea of the show is that it's intended to give kind of an everyman perspective of what the world would be like. Unfortunately, it does a very poor job of that. And a lot of it's the way that the show is structured and the way that it's framed, but more than anything, it's the acting, it is the presentation of the show. As much as I wanted this show to be good, it just isn't. This is just really bad show. So it's a comedy set in the DC universe. The main characters work for Wayne Tech in the R&D department. They research and develop new products that are intended to make life easier for people living in Gotham or Metropolis and Coast City and different places that are frequently have major superhero battles with supervillains or alien invasions. And so they develop stuff like in the first one of the first episodes, they develop an umbrella that is supposed to help stop rubble from crashing down on them and killing them.
They are green lighting your anti-rubble umbrella.
In theory, this is a good idea. There are a lot of things that they could do with this, but it just does not pan out, and it frankly is not funny at all. In the entirety of the 12-episode run, I think there was only once, maybe twice, where I got anything of a reaction other than a groan. And that was not a laugh, not even a chuckle, just a small grin. Which, when your show is a comedy, that's a pretty bad rate. One or two small grins out of the entire 12-episode run? No, that just does not fly. Frankly, I'm not the least bit surprised that the show got canceled. However, I think a show like this has a lot of potential and could be really good if done right and if given to the right people. So there are a number of things that I think they could have done differently to improve upon it. First of all, the setting. Initially, the show is supposed to follow a bunch of employees from a life insurance company and the situations that they get into dealing with the fallout of superhero battles and alien invasions and whatnot. Understandably, that was kind of limited, so they changed it to be an R&D department. Granted, that does provide more opportunities for storytelling given the world that this is set in. However, I still feel like it's very limiting. I think the show was trying to capitalize on shows like The Office and Parks and Rec, in that this could be the next big workplace comedy, but from my perspective, I think that was a bad decision. I think what would have been much better would be to have more of a Friends-like setting, where it's just people going through everyday life in the DCU, and you could have one of the characters be a life insurance agent. You can have another person work at R&D. That way you could implement multiple different stories that pull from different aspects of the world in a far more dynamic way. As it is, the setting is quite stifling. But not only is it stifling, they don't even properly utilize it. I feel like for the most part, there were only a couple of episodes that really talked about different products that they were developing. And as a whole, I felt like it was more just an excuse to give them a place to work. The place that they work had no real relevance overall, aside from name drops of Bruce Wayne and Wayne Tech and stuff like that.
I can't believe I'm working for Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne's cousin.
I feel like the show would have greatly benefited from more DC integration, whether that is having more DC heroes show up or setting it in Metropolis so there would be more natural integration, or even having lesser known characters make cameo appearances.
On the upside, they covered the bank robbery I thwarted yesterday.
See, the campaign worked. Everybody's taking you seriously.
Yeah, I got a call from the Justice League. Europe, but still.
Definitely one of the top 5 Justice Leagues.
It's not.
Personally, I think it would have been great if they had done the slice of life setting like I mentioned, that they could have characters like Lois Lane appear repeatedly, but not attached to Superman. She is there as a reporter, reporting on different situations that the characters find themselves in. It also would have been a great way for them to bring in more DC superheroes that are less likely to appear on the TV shows or in one of their flagship movies. You know, they could have an entire episode centered around Animal Man, or they could showcase various members of the Seven Soldiers of Victory. I could easily see a show like this bringing in Clarion the Witch Boy as this comedic character who everybody makes fun of, but just happens to have the magic powers that everybody mock him for thinking that he has. But really, the main culprit that makes this show so bad is that it is so cheesy. Like, all of the actors ham it up. There is absolutely no reason for this level of cheese.
Look, Wayne's security has stopped innovating. Our follow-up to last year's Joker Venom antidote is the exact same thing in a slightly darker purple.
It's not slightly darker. Okay, one's amethyst and one's sangria. You don't get it. She doesn't get it. She's not getting it.
No, I get that they're different. I just don't think anyone cares about the color.
Ooh, kitty's got claws.
I feel like they took the concept of like The Office and then matched it with something like The Big Bang Theory. It's like, hey, those two are very popular. Let's blend them together. They don't blend well, but then they took the cheesiness of The Big Bang Theory and like cranked it up to 11.
Bruce Wayne is on the phone for you.
Jackie, if you are lying to me, I will put rocks in your pockets and I will throw you in the ocean.
You are going to make a great father one day. It's really Bruce.
Oh my God. How do I look?
Like you don't understand how phones work.
B-dubs, baby! You keeping Gotham warm for me? Yes, I can hold.
You know, there's no reason that the characters need to be caricatures. They should be well fleshed out characters with their own personalities, their own interests, but as they are presented, they're very cartoonish and they're not at all interesting. And for that matter, the storytelling just isn't very great. You know, at the beginning of the series, the main character, Emily, is trying to ingratiate herself into the team, but within a couple of episodes, that whole plot line is dropped, and it's like, okay, this is just business as usual. You know, they didn't really take the time to develop her working her way in and showing the characters, get to know her and get more comfortable with her. You know, if they were really trying to take a page from shows like The Office or Parks and Rec, they could have taken the time to slowly develop those relationships and slowly develop the characters. But as it is, it's like, okay, this is important one episode, the next episode, we just don't care about it. And in the long run, I think a show like this has a lot of potential if it's done right. You know, give me a show that maybe reflects the state of the movies so that they talk about events that occurred, but do it in a comedic way and do it in a, okay, here's how these characters are reacting to, you know, Darkseid invading or Batman fighting Superman. You know, and give me characters who have very different perspectives so that they clash with one another. You know, one person's pro-Batman, one person's pro-Superman, and then another person can be like, hey, what about the buildings that they knocked down and all the people who died? And in the future, I would like to see another attempt at this type of show. You know, give me characters who are living down in the trenches of this world, just trying to go about their lives. You know, trying to go to work, trying to earn enough money, just trying to get by, and yet there are superheroes clashing all around them. You know, show us the contrast of the mundane world that they live in with superheroes right outside their window fighting like gods. Whether it's DC taking another shot at it and hopefully giving it to somebody who has a little bit more of a unique take on it, somebody who can actually try to develop the characters in the world as opposed to just cashing in on the concept. Or Marvel doing something like Damage Control, or even just trying to attempt the same thing of slice of life. Here are some street level regular people who are experiencing stuff like the Battle for New York and the invasion of Thanos and the Snap. I feel like there is a lot of potential to make a very engaging show that also builds upon the worlds that have already been established and that the worlds that they're continuing to build. You know, I would love to see something like that done right. I just don't really see it happening anytime in the near future, which is unfortunate because if done right, that could be a really good show and would help build the fan base. But what do you think? Would you like to see more shows like this if done better? You know, do you have any interest in this, or would you prefer to keep your sitcoms and your comedies completely separated from other continuity? Let me know down in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you think. And until next time, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay tangible.